It's 5:40, and we will call this meeting to order. Director Todd, can we have a roll call, please?
You certainly may, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Bennett?
Present.
Commissioner Daniels, I believe, will be joining us virtually, but he is otherwise excused from his in-person participation. Commissioner Esparza?
Present.
Commissioner Harrison is excused. Commissioner Lewis? Present. Commissioner Russell?
Here.
Chair Smith?
Present.
Vice Chair Secretary Udabi?
Present.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, you have a quorum present.
All right. Thank you, Director Todd. Moving forward to amendments or the approval of the agenda. Director Todd, do we have any amendments to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, there are none.
If there are no amendments, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have, thank you. All in support of approving the November 6th meeting agenda as presented, indicate your support with the sign of aye.
Aye.
In opposition, sign of nay. The agenda is approved. Next, we have the meeting minutes for June 5th, 2025. Looking for a motion to approve the June 5th, 2025 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Support.
Thank you, Vice Chair. All in support of approving the June 5th, 2025 meeting minutes, indicate your support with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all in opposition, sign of nay. There are no nays. The June 5th meeting minutes have been approved. Next, we have a 5:15 presentation. This is a request of the W Detroit Property LLC for a site plan review of a development proposal on land zoned Special Development District, Riverfront Mixed Use SD4, property commonly referred to as 240 Meldrum Street, aka 6000 East Jefferson, for the WNBA practice facility to be situated approximately 7.2 acres of the former Uniroyal site. And Mr. Jeffrey, will you be walking us through the item this evening? All right.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we could do a round of introductions. My name is Kimani Jeffrey of City Planning Commission staff. And if we could go around and do a round of introductions.
Hello, Stephen Welch, Vice President of Public Affairs, W Detroit.
Good evening. Richard Haddad, I'm Chief Operating Officer for Piston Sports and Entertainment. I'm here on behalf of W Detroit.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Alicia Wachaleski with Plant Moran Rail Point, here on behalf of the development team.
Hello, Tony Reiner, designer with Rossetti.
Michael Marks with Giffords Webster. We're the civil engineers and surveyors on the project.
And I believe we have one person online with us.
Yes, I am Adam Patton with Pynchon, the environmental consultant for the project.
So, Mr. Chair, so this is the request, as you mentioned. This is for site plan review. This proposal is in an SD4 zoning classification. SD4 is the Special Development District, which is the Riverfront Mixed Use District. And this is for the address, that's 240 Meldrum Street. It's also known as 6000 East Jefferson. That's the larger site. 240 Meldrum Street is a smaller site within that footprint. And so this is for approximately 7.2 acres of that larger 6000 East Jefferson site. The petitioner is requesting same-day action. We'll get more in depth on what the request is for, but this is for site plan review, which the SD4 zoning classification does require. It is a requirement that the city council must review the site plans and elevations for anything within the special development Riverfront Mixed Use District. And then the zoning classification does give the city council the purview to either set a public hearing or just receive a resolution and adopt that upon receipt of that. And so because of that, there is a pathway by which this petition does have a pathway to be approved if it is the purview of this honorable body and the city council, there is a pathway by which this could be approved before the end of this term and this year. With that being said, I do want to note that staff is recommending approval upon, you hearing this and receiving your potential support, but with the caveat that this would continue on with staff, continue review, continue input from not only city planning commission staff, but also planning and development department staff, as well as Department of Public Works, Parks Department, as well as even other entities such as Riverfront Conservancy and others as well. So we've discussed that with the development team, and they are in agreement with that and are expecting to meet those conditions. But again, that is, with the hopeful agreement and consent of this honorable body. So with that being said, we'll go deeper into the petition and request. Again, this is a 7.2 acre site, again being zone SD4. And so, as I mentioned before, the requested approval is that the applicant is seeking the general the approval of this general site plan, knowing that there's more that will be more detail that will be encapsulated in future development as staff gets more in depth into the design aspects of how this will interact more with the Riverwalk. That's a big part of what the Planning and Development Department, CPC staff, wants to go more in depth with the development team on, as well as how it will interact with what's proposed as a future leg of the greenway that will be adjacent to this development and what that might look like. So those are some of the aspects that we want to continue working with the development team on. And so those are parts of those are some of the aspects that we'll continue working on. So with that being said, I will leave it there, and I will allow the development team to continue on with the presentation, if you might.
Thank you, Kamani, and thanks.
Turn your mic on.
Thank you, Kamani.
Thanks
to all of you for your time tonight. We're honored to be here on behalf of the ownership group that's working to bring a WNBA team here to the city of Detroit. And to give you a little bit of overview and context around the project and the vision here, we have been awarded a WNBA team by the league. We are starting play in 2029. It was a very competitive bid process where we beat out something like 15 other cities to bring a team to Detroit. We were thrilled to be able to win that and to win this for Detroit. We think it's going to be a great thing for the city, a great thing for this community, and it's something that we're excited to bring to life in the vision that we're here to talk to you about today. And the practice facility that we're requesting site plan approval on is a critical piece of our bid to bring a team here, and it's a critical piece of our plan to launch the team in 2029. Our plan and our objective here is to develop a facility that not only will let us compete with the rest of the WNBA teams and field championship teams and make Detroit proud, but also a facility that's going to be open to the public, that's going to be open to the community, that replicates a lot of what we've done with the Pistons Performance Center. That's the Detroit Pistons and Pistons Sports and Entertainment's headquarters and training facility today. We very purposefully developed that when we brought the Pistons back to Detroit from Auburn Hills a few years back in a way that's open to the community, in a way that includes retail components, in a way that includes community space and event space. We're very proud to do something like 300 public events or community events every single year at the Pistons Performance Center. We're hosting everything from corporate board meetings to block parties to community engagement meetings to baby showers to engagement parties. And the vision for this facility is, in addition to serving the team and in addition to helping us recruit and retain and develop players and coaches and staff and talent, it's to serve the community, it's to be accessible to the community, and it's to be a hub for youth sports and for women's sports and for the city of Detroit. If we can go to the next page. So you see some context around the site here. The plan for the WNBA facility is to have a 75,000 square foot indoor facility, 2 surface parking lots serving that facility. And the next phase of the vision, which we're not requesting approval on today, but just to give you some context, is there would be a nonprofit entity that would collaborate with our W team and our W ownership group to develop a youth development academy and recreational facility on the remainder of what we know as the Uniroyal site. And the vision and the objective for the Youth Development Academy is to have publicly accessible basketball courts, volleyball courts, outdoor athletic fields that allow for soccer, football, lacrosse, all kinds of other sports, but to serve the city of Detroit, to serve Detroit public schools who don't have fields to play at right now, to serve youth-focused organizations like Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA and the Police Athletic League who struggle to find places to field teams, to host games, to host tournaments. The goal here is to give more kids in Detroit the opportunity to participate in sports and to develop through sports and through athletics. And that's a critical piece of the vision, even though that's not something that we're requesting approval on today. That's a piece that underscores our commitment to develop this in a way that is going to be a hub for youth sports and for women's sports and maximize the positive impact that we can have in this community. If you can go to the next page. So the project details, I spoke to some of this, but the facility would have 2 basketball courts. It would have office space. It would serve as the headquarters and the training facility for the WNBA team. It would have every amenity, every resource that you would expect for a professional basketball team. It would have every amenity and resource that we currently have at the Pistons Performance Center for our men's team, for the Detroit Pistons. And the goal, again, is to focus on hiring Detroiters, to focus on giving Detroiters opportunities to be part of the construction project. We would bring to life an apprentice program like we did when we built the PPC. We would focus on hiring as many Detroiters as we could to work on the construction aspect of the project, but also to come to work for the team and come to work at the facility as we launch this and as we bring all of this to 2029 and launch the team. And the other piece of this that I mentioned is the plan includes community space and event space where we can serve the community and host events and host gatherings in the same way that we do at the PPC right now. Next page. Additional site considerations. So as we've worked with our architects at Rossetti, as we've worked with the rest of the development team who you see represented here today, we focused on maximizing pedestrian access. One of the things that excited us about this site is the ability to kind of connect 2 sides of the riverfront, to return the riverfront in a lot of ways to the community by developing it in a way that serves the community. And an integral piece of that is maximizing access to the site, maximizing pedestrian access specifically. We've designed and mapped this out in a way that maximizes the connection to the Riverwalk. We've included 192 parking spaces to make sure that we are solving for any parking issues that we may have, to make sure that we're providing sufficient parking on this site instead of having to solve for it outside the site. We have engaged a traffic study and are working with our traffic consultants to ensure that we mitigate and minimize any disruptions to traffic. We are confident that we will be able to develop this in a way that does that. And we're focused on integrating this with the Joe Louis Greenway. It goes back to our vision and our excitement to kind of connect this currently blighted site to the riverfront, to connect it to the Riverwalk, to kind of give it back to Detroiters and give Detroiters an opportunity to maximize their use and access to it. Next page. As we think about the design of this, we're committed to incorporating principles of universal design. We are committed to meeting and exceeding all ADA requirements and maximizing accessibility to every aspect of this site and every aspect of this development. Next slide. And the same goes for sustainability. When we developed the PPC, we did pursue and received LEED certification. The plan would be to incorporate LEED principles throughout the design of this and to make this a sustainable as it can possibly be. And we are still obviously in the site planning process. We've got a ways to go on the design process, but the plan and the objective will be to maximize sustainability as we move this forward.
And as we continue to engage throughout the city of Detroit, we've had, excitingly positive conversations with the community and residents, whether, like I said, residents, small business owners, block clubs, community associations, CDCs, the list goes on and on. As you can see here, here are a few of the organizations that we've met with, just a bite-sized sample from the business community, from youth sports organizations, as Rich said. We've gotten a chance to hear from Boys and Girls Club. We've gotten a chance to hear from PAL, the Police Athletic League. We've gotten a chance to hear from the YMCA, but also charter schools, Detroit public schools, as well as homeschool parents. One of the things that they all agree on is that there's just not enough adequate space in the city of Detroit to field teams, adequate time to field teams, and the list goes on and on. So they believe that this site could actually supplement the work that they're doing and lift up the work that they're doing as well, too, to really reach many of the students in the city of Detroit, especially within the kindergarten through 8th grade range as well. We can go to the next slide. Here's another bite size of organizations that we've met with. If you see, once again, gotten a chance to really meet throughout the city. We've been on Department of Neighborhoods meetings. We've held a meeting at Craig Cafe. We've held a public meeting at Martin Luther King Jr. Senior High School as well too. We've had some really good conversations. One of the things that we've heard both from residents as well as small business owners is that they're extremely excited to see something at this site because for so long they've either had to live by it or work by it when they continue to pour in the community. One of the things that we heard from Sylvia Crawford, who's a former employee of the city of Detroit, but also she and her husband own Craig Cafe along with their 3 sons, Willie, Joe, and Jordan. Jordan played basketball growing up. They actually got a chance to all play basketball in college and receive college scholarships. Joe and Jordan, as a matter of fact, got a chance to play in the NBA. They believe because the city of Detroit poured into them, they're now able to come back to the city and pour back into the city as well, too. And ultimately, that's what this development is about, right? It goes beyond the baseline of a WNBA team. It goes beyond the baseline of literally creating youth sports. It's about really pouring back into the city of Detroit so that people can pour back into the city.
So with that being said, Mr. Chair, that is the end of the presentation. Again, this is a site plan review, so this is to look at the site plan and elevations of the project. Again, looking at the merits of the building that is being proposed, specifically the building that is within the 7.2 acres of the site, not the totality of the site. I do want to note that for the full site, anything that's proposed, because it does exceed the 3-acre threshold that the zoning ordinance calls out as needing to come under city council review, that would need to come back to this honorable body as well as city council. So you would have to see any future proposals that would have to come, that would need to come back to CPC. So I do want to note that. But today we're looking at the 7.2 portion of this site.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey, and thank you all for the presentation, and thank you for bringing this great project to the city. I have a couple questions, and these are more staff questions. The rezoning, does that require a public hearing?
So this would not be considered a rezoning.
Because is it already SD4 and it's just a modification?
That's
The modifications don't
that-
require public hearing.
It's actually not a modification, but a site plan review. So if it's
Okay.
that's correct. So it was rezoned So it was rezoned from an industrial zoning classification in the 1990s. this whole area to SD4, and the purpose of it was to allow for mixed use. And because it's on the river, the city wanted to allow for some level of review over the area, to allow for either the Buildings and Safety Department to review what's happening along the riverfront, or to allow for larger projects to allow for the council to review what's happening along the riverfront, because it's a prominent area. And so if it's under 3 acres, the Buildings Department will review. If it's over 3 acres, City Council reviews. And so it's more of just a site plan review of the area. So it's no rezoning action or any modification just being requested, just a review.
Okay, got you. Okay. I like the project. My only kind of more administrative concern is it's not often we get the chance to look at site plans, and I don't feel like we get as much site plan out of this package. And then just a couple things. I know this has to go through a later process through staff, but I mean, just it comes to us. I was just expecting a bit more. Mm-hmm. And if we approve it today to go forward, it doesn't come back to us. So we really don't. I don't think we get a full chance to really digest the site plan component of it. You know, what certain things are, how some of these roads are going to connect to Meldum and White Street. You know, I look at the site context, and I'm curious how this connects to the Greenway. I'm not the Greenway, the Riverwalk, because the area where they are connecting is outside the area we're approving. So, you know, that's not a part of it. You know, it's just little site plan things I don't want to nitpick, because I don't want to stall or delay this great project. But I think just as regards to once a year we get to look at a site plan. That's all I'm saying. You know, other than that, I think the renderings look good. The elevations are a little hard to see because it's kind of small and a little blurry. If it doesn't delay the grand scheme, I would like to have more to look at for a site plan. You know, I see staff's recommendation. If that's the recommendation and staff is comfortable, and this kind of has to go on a timeline, I don't want to hold that up because I want to be a technical site plan nerd. But those are just my initial thoughts.
Through the chair, I think that's a valid point. To that point, I'll make I have two responses to that. We are in conjunction with Buildings and Safety, PDD, other departments. We are looking at this holistically from site plan. You know, looking at the zoning provisions at in regards to the entirety of the plan, but to give this body more surety that what you're looking at you can be okay with. What we're approving today is high level. They will have to come back to us. We won't be signing off on final site plans from this approval. They will still have to come back to staff for final site plans and to submit to Buildings and Safety. So we still have more work to do in the future. So before that happens, and I believe they'll be okay with this, and ultimately this body has approval of this anyway. But I believe we can commit to, before staff signing off, I think we all will probably be comfortable with saying that we can share the final site plans and elevations, the construction drawings with this body to make sure that the final plans you all see before we sign off with the Buildings Department on those plans, if that would make this body more comfortable.
I would like that. Could that come in the form of a formal presentation like this, not just an email, here's a copy? Can it come back to us for our comments? I understand we may issue a form of approval now that gives staff the authority to address it later, but can it come back before staff gives their final approval so we can provide comments? Again, just because this particular item is within our purview. Is that possible?
I believe that would be possible. I'm not sure of the timeline when the team would be looking to pull permits. Is that sometime down the line, I believe? So I believe the timeline would probably permit for that. Is that correct?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, from our perspective, we are requesting approval today, but as Kamani said, we're committed to collaborating with staff throughout this process. We'd be happy to come back and present to this group at any time. We're happy to have any additional discussion and conversation that anybody here wants to have. The goal is to open this facility in 2029 and early 2029. That's really our hard deadline. So we don't have a ton of time, but we do have some time. It's going to be some time before we're actually pulling permits, and we're committed to collaborating throughout this process.
Okay, I would be amenable to that if my fellow commissioners are. I just think that gives us all time to actually dive into it and understand what we're ultimately approving well in advance. And then, like I said, I don't want to hold anything up, but I do think it's our responsibility to make sure that these site plans are within a realm of approvability. And I think if we can get that chance later, if we got to defer it now to keep this going, I think that's fine, as long as there's an opportunity for us to provide that input. Okay. All right, commissioners. Commissioner Esparza.
Thank you, thank you, Chairman. Your points about the site plan and the elevations, I agree. So I look forward to them providing much more detailed submittals somewhere down the line. But I've got a number of items that go beyond the site plan and the elevations. What's the status of the site, remediation-wise?
I'll let
We've spent the last few months working to assess the site conditions and the feasibility of the site for development. So we haven't started remediation, but we've spent a significant amount of time and effort and resources to make sure that we understand the scope of the necessary remediation. And we have Adam Patton on the phone. I would ask Adam to speak a little bit to the site condition to respond to the question.
Absolutely. Thanks very much. Consistent with what was just said, the site actually has had a significant amount of investigation over the past 3 decades. And it's also had a fair share of remediation that was funded by the previously liable parties at the site. Those investigations ultimately involved hundreds of soil borings across the entirety of the site, including the area that's being considered today. That said, as part of our planning process, we came in and did another 1,550 borings across the property, including at this particular location, to ensure that site conditions were fully characterized, that we understood what is present and where contamination is present at the site, and have developed this particular plan such that the building is compatible with site conditions and protective of those conditions. So remediation at the site has occurred, and a lot of that remediation has actually occurred within the footprint of this particular building, as is the case in other places across the old Uniro property. But we've accounted for those with regard to this design.
Okay, appreciate that response. Essentially what I was looking for was the previous development team did not start any of the remediation, did not complete any of the remediation.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Traffic study, that's in progress? And do you have an ETA when the traffic study would be completed?
Yeah, we should have our results in the next week or two.
Yes, our traffic study should be completed in the next 2 weeks. Initial results are indicating that with the W only, we do not have to do any upgrades to any cities or city streets in the area. There might be some light timing that would have to be addressed at Mount Elliott. That is the extent of it right now.
Thank you. Is there a plan to be any non-WNBA use of the facility?
Yes, to the extent that we would plan to use it for the type of community events that I mentioned, for the type of public activities that I mentioned, but that would be the extent of it. So it would serve as the WNBA team headquarters and training facility, but we would plan to do a significant amount of community and public-facing events at that facility.
Okay,
Go a
so
little-
when you start the schedule in 2029, the use of this building and site will continue to remain the same?
Remain the same as,
Nothing changes when you start the season in 2029 at
yeah,
this
all
site?
of this would start in 2029 because our current schedule is to complete the project and open the project in early 2029.
Okay, great, thank you. The boundaries of what's before us now and then the expanded area is all privately held property. And the reason I ask is I'm trying to understand the public use and how that happens with this being a private property.
Currently, all of this is owned by the city of Detroit and/or the DBRA. The plan here is to enter into ground leases from those entities to the W entity for the site that we're talking about today and to the youth development entity for the remainder of the site. So it would be owned, it would continue to be owned by the city and/or the DBRA, but it would be ground leased to these two entities. And these two entities would commit to make it accessible to the public for the purposes that we've discussed for tournaments and basketball games, volleyball games, soccer games, flag football games, youth leagues, school games, all of the community and public uses that we've mentioned.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Esparza. Commissioner Lewis?
Thank you. That was my question. Who owns the land? And so the city of Detroit and the DBRA own the land.
Yes, that's correct.
And currently, this is one contiguous piece of land. Is there will there be some sort of divide or split of the land for your purpose? Or will it remain one contiguous piece of land? And maybe staff can help me with that. Was there any conversation about that? Will there be any splits on this parcel?
Through the chair, I would actually prefer if the mayor's office would speak to that. I think they would be more appropriate.
Because certainly if the property remains in the name of the city of Detroit, there is no tax revenue, no property tax revenue as a result of this development.
Good evening. Brittany Hoskew, Deputy Group Executive of Economic Development in the Mayor's Office.
Hello, Brittany. Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. So through the chair, you're correct in that it's one contiguous parcel. However, the terms of and your Rich is correct as well, that the property is currently owned by a combination of the City of Detroit and the Detroit Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. For the purposes of the ground lease that has been drafted between the three parties, the DBRA, the City of Detroit, and the development team, there are three distinct sites. There's the W site, which is before you today for your consideration, the site plan review. There is the main property, which is where the Youth Sports Academy will be located, and then there's the Stoveworks site. For the purposes of the lease, there are three distinct sites that help inform lease terms.
Okay, I didn't want to get that far down into
Okay,
the weeds,
please,
but
thank you.
So there will be a split of the land, or will it be one contiguous piece of land?
I don't believe that there's a parcel split planned at this time.
Okay, but this entity will not. It's this WNBA facility will not take up the entire parcel.
Correct.
Okay, and we are being asked to place the SD4 on what? The entire parcel or a piece of land?
So the entirety of the land that you see here is already zone SD4.
Okay, so this is as you already said, it's just a matter of a site plan review.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That answers my question relative to how the land would be divided. It will not be divided. It will be continue to be owned by the City of Detroit and the DBRA. And the DBRA, if I am not mistaken, is a government entity, a quasi-government entity too. So the DBRA doesn't pay taxes.
Correct.
Property
DBRA
taxes.
stands for the Detroit Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, which is a quasi-governmental organization.
Moving on to something totally different in terms of the waterfront. Will we find that the waterfront is completely unencumbered, if I can say it that way, so that the public can be at the waterfront 24 hours?
Yes, this development wouldn't affect that. It does not encroach upon or affect the current Riverwalk, and it shouldn't affect or change any access to the riverfront.
Okay, it shouldn't, or it won't?
It won't.
Okay, and that leads me back to what my colleagues indicated. A site plan would definitely be something that I would also want to see in terms of, we have the Riverwalk area for the public, and what is that going to look like for the public? You know, I'm just not even looking at what the stadium's going to look like, because I'm sure it's going to be top of the line, the best for the WNBA. How it impacts the public on the riverside is what I would be more interested in. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Lewis. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for the presentation. I really appreciate seeing this, and I'm glad to see women's sports coming to Detroit. We'll be looking forward to that. I want to say that I really appreciate your commitment to universal design and sustainability in your plans. I was really glad to see those bullet points, and I hope as the project continues, you will be able to prioritize that. Something that I'm thinking about, just looking at these like rough renderings, is that I'd be curious about how you brought up that you'll be using native landscaping, if it would be possible to maybe get some more trees out there, especially if people are outside on these fields. I think it would be nice to have more shade opportunities, and especially along the Riverwalk, I'm sure that people would like different shading when you get more to that stage of really nailing down the landscaping, which I hope we can see with future site plans that are brought to us. But my main question is, I heard you talk about the traffic study and you spoke about it a little bit with us, but I'd love to know if you're going to do a transit study, because I see that a lot of the site plan that you have shown us, a lot of it is taken up by parking spaces, which right now I understand is pretty necessary. A lot of people rely on cars to get around the city, but hopefully in the future, as we're trying to get people out there and active, it would be cool to also be thinking about how can we use buses, how can we increase demand for buses, and ensure that you're working with DDOT or MDOT to ensure that this facility is accessible by transit. Do you have any response to that?
Yeah, and through the chair as well, too. Great point. One of the things that we want to do as well is having those conversations with Detroit Public Schools and many of the youth sports organizations. We've talked about identifying ways to bus kids in. Let me take that back. I don't want to say bus kids, but utilize buses to make sure kids have access to it, because of course if you're coming from Northwest Detroit or Southwest Detroit, it can be a little bit tougher to get there if you're right there in Rivertown, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing that as well too.
Okay, great. I just hope that stays forefront of mind, but it sounds like you're thinking about it. How can kids from all around Detroit, not just the local neighborhood, be able to utilize this really cool spot, especially when it also includes the Youth Development Academy as the project furthers?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And then my last smaller question is, have you considered a partnership with Come Play Detroit? Are you familiar with that group?
We've had conversations with them, and in addition to all of the other groups that we've mentioned, and the goal and the plan is to partner with as many of these organizations as we can to operate this for the benefit of as many kids as we possibly can around the city of Detroit and the broader community.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem, Vice Chair. Commissioner Bennett and then Commissioner Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your time and the presentation. This all is very exciting. One question I have, I know we're discussing the WNBA site currently, but obviously a significant amount of the parcel is with the Youth Development Academy and Fields. The timeline for that project, will it run concurrently, roughly? Because I'm thinking about connection for the public from Jefferson to the Riverwalk.
Roughly, yes. The goal would be to have all of that open later in 2029. We have a hard deadline on the WNBA team in order to launch the team and start play in May of 2029 when the season starts, but the goal would be to launch and open the youth development piece shortly thereafter.
Okay. And so what's shown on the site context page, and then it looks like it's shown in green on this. I assume that's the pathway from Jefferson, like the public would be able to take?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the connecting point to the Joe Louis Greenway
Okay.
as it's contemplated now.
Okay. All right. Great. Outside of that, I think everyone's voiced similar. It would be nice to see further refined and detailed site plans, but this is all very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Commissioner Russell.
Thank you, Chair. Congratulations on winning the team, and I'm excited about it being here. I got a couple of questions, and they're really just out of curiosity. So in May 2029, where are the games going to be?
At Little Caesars Arena.
At Little Caesars.
Yeah, not on this site. So we're not proposing to build a stadium or an arena on this site. This would be a practice facility and headquarters.
Okay. All right.
But the team would play games at Little Caesars Arena where the Pistons and the Red Wings play.
And there's I should know this, but the NBA season starts when, ends when?
The NBA season starts in October and goes through the finals in June. The WNBA season starts in May and goes through the finals in October.
Okay.
So it's kind of the opposite of the NBA season. The NBA starts in the fall and ends in the spring. The WNBA starts in the spring and ends in the fall.
And I just want to get this site for the practice facility is really at the corner of Wright and Meldrum.
Yes.
And vehicular entrance into the site is where? Is it right there or?
Meldrum. Right at Meldrum.
Right at Meldrum, and the boundary line, it just kind of goes over it. Okay. And so there's one way in, one way out? Or are we extending Wright Street into the site?
Yeah, so I can speak to that. Hi. The access to the site will be from White and from Meldrum, so it'll be kind of fit within that corner intersection. There's anticipated to be a sort of private drive east-west that would kind of connect to White, kind of extend into the site.
Okay, got
That would provide access to the W site, but then also would be providing access to the youth sports and future development.
Got it. Okay. All right. And then right there at that corner, and I'm just looking at Google Earth at some old pictures, but there's it said Big Pink on the plan, but there was some security place. What's happening there? Do we know?
It's a nightclub. Yeah.
It's a nightclub? I'm old now. No. Okay, it's a nightclub. Is that remaining?
It's not on the site. It's
Yes, I know. It's adjacent
in
to the
proximity. Yeah, we can't speak to what the owner of that
Okay.
property is going to do. It's unrelated to this project.
Okay. And I was just curious, what that look is coming into the site. And then south of that, there is the park. there's a city park there, and I'm just curious, the Mount Elliott Park, what's the plan for that border right there? Oh, all right.
Yeah, maybe I can speak to that. Right now, the Mount Elliott Park is part of the Riverfront Conservancy, so it's connected to the Riverwalk.
Yep.
Right now, there's our property. There are no trees on the edge of the Riverfront Park. There is a pretty substantial grove of trees that is off of our site that I would imagine would be maintained.
And, I would just, because, you guys are taking a third of the site, or really less than a third of the site for your particular thing that you want to do, and then the rest of the site is really for the community public good. I'm just interested, and this is the first one coming, how you're going to engage that interaction to the park. And I know that, you've got some security concerns, but how that addressed is, I think is important. And I think, you guys are going through all this effort that's something that you want to, express all your community spirit. And then someone asked about the timeline on the other two projects, and is that like a year out on? And I guess really this is a question for you, Mr. Jeffries. When those plans, because for all of the SD4 sites, there'd be a site plan review, such as what we're doing today. And so that those would come back to us to see that. And maybe I'm repeating what's already been said. Is that true?
That's correct.
Okay.
So anything that's within the SD4, if it's greater than 3 acres or more, it has to come before.
And all those other sites, the other two sites, are 3 acres or more.
That's my understanding, that they would be parceled as 3 acres, yeah.
Right. So and I'm a little slow, so I want to. The Youth Development Academy, that site is 3 acres or more, and then the rest of the field is definitely 3
Yes, that's correct.
So you guys, we get to come back and see us again.
Yes, we look forward to it.
Okay. And then, so the city and the brownfield own the site. So, and you guys are in a hurry, and I know, riding down Jefferson, that has not been the prettiest looking thing for the longest, and if you guys so whoever's taken control of this, when would the cleanup of that site, so that it's sort of aesthetically pleasing, and and that's being a good neighbor, when would that start happening?
As soon as practical, in really the next few months here. We're working through this process to get the approvals that we're requesting, but the plan would be to start the cleanup process, over the next couple of months, assuming that we get the approvals that we're requesting here.
Right, and I'm not, I think this is a fabulous thing that you guys are doing, and long overdue, right? And I want you all to project how fabulous you guys are going to be, right, from the beginning to the end. And that was it. Thank you so much, and it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Russell. And I just have a few closing comments. Director Top.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for the benefit of the commission and out of respect for Commissioner Daniels, I've been back and forth with him trying to get him inserted into the meetings. I apologize, as I did no doubt appear distracted, and in fact was. He is now in, but not as a panelist, but allowed to speak. The two questions that he was going to raise, he indicates have already been raised, and he is satisfied, but I just wanted to let everyone know, and certainly you could ask if he might have any future questions, but he can speak if need be.
All right. Thank you, Director Todd, and welcome, Commissioner Daniels. My kind of few questions are: what is the capacity, the person capacity at that facility?
It's a 75,000 square foot building. There isn't spectator seating, so there isn't capacity like there is at a stadium or an arena, but it would house the entirety of the WNBA team staff, which is anticipated to be something like 60 to 100 full-time employees.
Okay.
And the capacity to host events would be something like 500 people.
Okay. And the reason why I ask is because I know Big Pink gets pretty busy, and you know that whole lot across the street fills up with cars. And your lot has 200 spaces, and you indicated it has a capacity of about 500 people. So
As a maximum, yes.
maximum, right? Maximum. And on a good day, I want you to have 500 people, but I don't know where you're gonna park 500 people. That's my concern. But I know this is a phase thing. Later phases probably get you the rest of the parking. So that's just one of my initial concerns. You mentioned the Greenway, and I'm curious how you plan on connecting to the Greenway, because I think it's way on the other side of the Riverwalk. So I'm curious how that'll work. And then, do you have any commitments right now with the city to do anything to the Riverwalk? Has the city committed anything, from the city side to make improvements to that Riverwalk? What is that relationship? How do you foresee that working out?
Yeah, so the investment in operation and maintenance of the Riverwalk is fortunately led through the Riverwalk Conservancy. I know in our conversations with the development team, they look forward to taking advantage of the connectivity that the Riverwalk offers to what will ultimately be a public space, but there are no commitments at this time for a direct investment, at least from the city of Detroit.
Okay. I'm kind of asking you directly now. Does the city have any plans to have that Riverwalk operational and functioning by 2029 when this facility is proposed to be open?
I would have to defer to someone in the in General Services and Parks Department who work closely with the Riverwalk Conservancy on operations. I know in our conversations with the development team, they've committed to maintaining access through construction and operations to ensure that they're not an obstacle to accessibility.
Okay, and maybe just correct me if I'm wrong. Is that portion of the Riverwalk open right now?
Yes.
It is
Yes,
open.
it
Okay,
is.
Thank you. Yeah, just let me know.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so it is open. It's usable. It's going to continue to be open and usable. And
Yes.
there currently are no proposed improvements just associated with this project.
Yes, that's our understanding. And to your question, Mr. Chair, and to Commissioner Lewis and Commissioner Russell's questions, the plan here is to enhance the accessibility of the riverfront, to enhance the connectivity of the riverfront. It is currently open and operational, and it will continue to be open and operational, but the vision here, and part of why we're so excited about this, is this really gives us an opportunity to make it even more connected and even more accessible than it is now, really by investing in the development and the remediation of what's been a blighted site along the riverfront.
Okay, thank you. And I'm looking at old images, so thank you for putting this up. Is that a current greenway?
Yeah, this is this week.
That is? Okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to use old images here. Yep. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it. And for the other phases, do you propose to have those phases done by 2029 as well?
Roughly, yes. There needs to be a more thorough timeline and construction and development schedule developed for that, but the objective would be to have that developed by 2029.
Okay. So ideally, in a perfect world, you'll have all this, the whole Utero site
Yes.
would be done by 2029. Okay. All right. And that answers all my questions. Commissioner Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know we're talking about the WNBA site, but with this being on publicly owned property land, has there been any thought to the activation and usage of the other parcels during the colder months? of the year, because this is obviously public property, significant amount of land, and just thinking about if it's for the youth and stuff, things that can be done during the fall, winter, early spring months.
Yes, the youth development piece of this contemplates a 100,000 square foot indoor building, which would include 8 basketball courts, which would convert to 16 volleyball courts, and the goal would be to do a significant amount of programming year-round inside that building.
Anything on the fields at all, or just they'll be dead during the winter?
Weather permitting, we would love to activate them as much as possible, but we haven't gotten to the point where we have definitive plans as to how to overcome the obstacles that weather presents.
Understood. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Bennett and Commissioner Lewis.
I just have one last question because this is public land. I'm hearing a lot about opportunities for the public to have activities and that sort of thing. I would like to ask the mayor's office, is the taxpayers' dollars paying for any portion of this? And if so, how much?
So right now, there's no direct investment of city dollars planned into financing the development project. However, the development team has submitted application and being considered by council for a brownfield tax increment financing, which reimburses the developer for eligible expenses associated with remediation of environmental contamination on the site, which is, as you can imagine, considerable, as well as a PA 210 tax abatement.
What's a PA 210? I don't know what that
So
is.
a PA 210 tax abatement is an abatement that allows us to provide a coupon for taxable value for a limited period of time while the
Taxable
development team.
value of personal property?
So it freezes the taxable value of a property.
It's owned by the city. They would not. Will it be taxed?
Correct. So the property, while under a ground lease, will generate both city property taxes, city income taxes, and utility user taxes on the property. And so the tax abatement will provide a limited amount of tax relief for just the site for the W.
Okay, so the ground lease provides for taxation.
For the W site, correct.
Okay. The tax abatements that you talked about, do they equal the taxation? Is there a net to the people?
Absolutely, ma'am. So I apologize, the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation isn't here today.
No problem. I'm just in
Yeah,
general, nothing specific. Is there a net to the people?
Absolutely. So the average annual fiscal benefit to Detroiters would be about $1.4 million per year. As you can imagine right now, with the property sitting both contaminated and fallow, we're generating zero property taxes, zero income taxes, zero utility user taxes. And so despite the ground lease, the remediation and activation of the site will generate not only property tax but income tax to the city that results in a net benefit to the city. And that analysis, that both but-for and net benefit analysis that's done by the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation helps inform a recommendation to council for incentive sought.
Okay. And how long will that net to the city's residents exist? You said $1 million something a year.
The period between 2026 and 2065, that was the analysis on a per year basis. And over that period of time, it would result in, over $55 million.
So it would become graduated higher?
It would, yes, graduate higher as the abatement burns off.
Okay, and the abatement burns off in
year 12.
Pardon me?
After the 12th year of operations, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
I should also note that the net benefit analysis performed by the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation only took into consideration tax generated directly by the developers and operators of the site, and didn't take into consideration annual visitor spending generated within the local Detroit economy as a result of the activation of the site, which is considerable.
With that, I have a follow-up question. Does the city intend to at some point sell the site, or do you know?
So that was the purpose of the optionality, was to maintain the public use, but then also give the city optionality to make considerations at term. So let me just consult my notes here to make sure that I'm giving you accurate information.
And term is 65 years?
So the term of the lease for the W site, which is being considered today, is a 49-year base term with extension options up to 85 years, which would preserve the use on this site.
So 100 and something years. Which is not a problem. If you're going to invest that kind of money, you need it for at least 100 years.
Absolutely. For financing purposes, it's necessary. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You've answered my questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Lewis. I think that concludes all of our questions. Mr. Jeffrey, can you close us up and kind of just give us your recommendation and what do we do?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So, after hearing from the commission, specifically your request, Mr. Chair, staff will recommend approval. The caveat that we will return. Obviously, you all have heard that this developer must come back for future phases, at least twice, if not possibly 3 times or more. So we would recommend that we allow the developer to move forward with a general high-level approval with what you've seen today, with them coming back with more detailed site plans and elevations in the near term, once staff has worked with them to further develop the plans, the site plans and elevations with more detail, and bringing those back to this honorable body before they submit for any building permits, and so that this body can see that and make any further suggestions before it gets to the level of asking, submitting for permits. And then at that time, we can receive any comments before they pull those permits. And then also they will be coming for subsequent phases of the development as well. But in terms of what's before you today, we will ask for the general high-level approval with a subsequent return for the we would ask for the general CPC approval. Director Todd is just informing me that the language in the recommendation says staff approval, so we would just ask that we would recommend that we change that language to CPC approval instead of staff approval, but that you accept this recommendation today with the caveat that we'll be returning for another look at that when we have further detailed site plans and elevations.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you for giving that recommendation. Entertaining a motion, Commissioner Russell.
I'd like to make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
As amended. As amended.
As amended.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. Do we have a second?
Support.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Director Todd, can we do a roll call?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Bennett. And Commissioner Esparza.
Support.
Commissioner Lewis. Commissioner Russell.
Support.
Commissioner Smith.
Support.
And Commissioner Udabi.
Support.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, that motion passes 6-0.
All right. Thank you. And thank you again for bringing this project to the city. I think we will all look forward to seeing this come back. And good luck. Thank you. like sports. We like sports. All right. Just giving the room a second to clear out. Moving on, the next portion of our agenda is general public comment. This is the opportunity for residents or any participant in the meeting to provide input, whether you are attending here in person or attending virtually. If you are attending in person, staff has a yellow comment card. If you want to participate, you can fill out that comment card. They'll get it to the front, and then we'll acknowledge you and call you to the podium here to my left, your right. And if you are participating virtually via the Zoom platform, you can elect to participate in public comment by raising your hand within the Zoom platform, and then we will acknowledge you and bring you over as a panelist to hear your input. With that, we will open the public comment. Ms. Perales, will you be helping me out this evening?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Do we have any in-person comments?
We do not.
We do not.
Oh, we have one.
Okay. If you want, we'll have you speak first, and then we'll have you fill out the card after. Everyone has 2 minutes. Hello, welcome. Whenever you're ready, hit the base, it'll turn green. Go ahead.
My name is Mina Strom. I'm speaking on behalf, or asked to speak on behalf of Gada Bahura. Actually, we don't have any input as to the current topic. What she wanted to ask is on a previously held meeting that she was unaware until recently that she was actually allowed to attend these meetings. English is not her first language, and I let her know these meetings are open to the public. So she has some questions regarding a past meeting that happened on June 20th, 2024. Is that something that can be spoken about today, or should we request a petition, make a petition for the next meeting? Okay. Okay. Well, in that meeting on June 20th, 2024, there was a petition by a Mr. Anthony Watts for rezoning for the Van Dyke Avenue, East Etzel Ford Drive, and Baldwin Avenue area. I believe the zoning is currently B3. We're actually not sure if it's been approved to be zoned to be B4. But her concern was, Ms. Bahura's concern was, in the meeting notes, it was stated that the developer had spoken to the owner of the only occupied building in that zone, the only fully functional business on that block, and no one has contacted her legitimately. I'll say legitimately. She's had lots of contact, but none from the developer themselves. And I want to just openly state that contact has been a bit unsavory. Okay. So who is it that she can speak with regarding this, if anyone?
Thank you. Ms. Perales or Director Todd, would either one of you be the correct person to follow up?
Mr. Chair, we will take the opportunity to sit down with the speaker tonight and get those specifics, go back through, and I believe we've probably got a recording of the meeting. We probably still have audio, I think maybe Ms. Green, and we'll go back to see if we can, isolate the particular claim that's being made, and then roll back from there in order to try to give the speaker satisfaction, and also then to check in with the petitioner to see exactly what was referenced at that time, what they have done since, and see if we can bring some resolution to the circumstance.
Okay. Thank you, Director Todd. And I'm sorry, can you give your name again?
My name?
Yes.
Mina Strom.
Mina, and
And this is Gada Bahura. She is the owner of Van Dyke Liquor Market.
Van Dyke Liquor Market. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Ms. Perales, can we move to our virtual attendees?
Yes, we have 6 hands raised. The first speaker is Galaxy A425G, and they should be allowed to speak.
Hello, welcome. Hello. All right, going once, twice. All right, let's save that one and move to the next one. We'll come back at the end, and then we'll close public comment after this first speaker.
The next hand raised is James Chandler. They should be allowed to speak now.
Hello, welcome.
Yes, I'm James Chandler, recent write-in candidate for this election, November 4th. I had some questions about WNBA facility site plan. Wasn't really asked. 4 questions. I think I need to ask them when you see them again. Number 1, what makes this different than any recreational center or community parks or even Little Caesars Arena? 2, will you provide Detroiters scholarships or draft opportunities into sports teams? 3, will there be free parking? And 4, is those involved in this plan from and born in Detroit? So those are the 4 questions. Do you need me to repeat those?
I do not need you to repeat them. I believe staff captured them. But
Okay.
Director Todd, can you give an email address that maybe he could forward them to just for good measure?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. The speaker may forward them to the City Planning Commission at cpc@detroitmi.gov. cpc@detroitmi.gov.
Okay, I already did.
Okay. So we'll
Hopefully
make
I
sure
received
staff gets a look at those, and
Okay.
then, as this item moves forward, they'll make sure they forward those questions. And when this item comes back, please follow and attend if you're available so we could ask them directly too.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is You Matter, and they should be allowed to speak now.
Hello. Welcome.
Good evening. May I be heard?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay,
It's a
great.
little low. If you could speak up,
Okay, thank you for letting me know that. Is this better?
much better.
Can you please restart the clock then, now that I'm talking louder, pretty please?
Yes, we'll restart the clock.
Thank you very much. So, I just want to bring to your attention that I think you've been holding meetings in violation of the Detroit City Charter, Section 6-205, public hearings. The people of the city of Detroit living in areas likely to be affected by proposals resulting from any study undertaken by the Planning and Development Department or in agencies under Section 6-202 or 203 shall be given full opportunity in public hearings to present facts and arguments relative to the subject under study. There's also more about requirement to give notification. I think it says to any citizen district council. I don't know that we have this in citizen advisory council. I think that's supposed to be community advisory council. I think that's a Scrivener's error, or community development corporation impacted by proposals contained in this study. So when you did the hearing on Let's Build More Housing Detroit, and that would impact me, we didn't, I got limited time. And so you're not holding these in conformity with the charter. Neither is the City Council Planning Committee, and I raised that issue, but Mr. Tate didn't care, just cut me off, and no respect for the city charter. So you're really not allowed to do this, and it's very disturbing. And it was also misrepresented as if it only impacted R2. The sixth text amendment also, you can't limit people like this. It's a violation of due process. And, if you got to sit here for hours and hours to listen to people who you're supposedly serving, well, then that's what it is. And that's what the charter says. And so I'm very disappointed also. Like, you better make sure they got some clean dirt here, because there's other dirty dirt around the city. But please don't violate the charter anymore. And that was not.
Okay. Apologies. We have to cut you off 2 minutes. But we do want you to follow up with staff with your concerns related to the public hearing process. They will provide you more information about that. Ms. Pradas, can you go to the next person, please? Next speaker.
Mr. Chair, the next speaker is Revive Detroit CDC. They should be allowed to speak now.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, I'm not representing Revive, but myself, Teresa Williams, I'm District 7 Community Advisory Council on the west side of Detroit. We've seen tons of projects come through proposed for that riverfront. We don't know if this is the highest and best use of that land. Me speaking as a shareholder and a taxpayer, we don't know if that's the highest and best use of that particular area, but we do know the similar proposals that have come forth and talking about all this community engagement. That never happens. That Pistons practice facility is like Fort Knox, even trying to enter the building and ask anybody any questions about it or anything. So that is a total misnomer. Also, they talked about leasing the property. We're about to give them all kind of tax benefits. Leasing the property for what? $1? Like they're doing the carpentry center and handed them over I don't know how many acres of land. This has gone on way too much. Detroiters get nothing, and these private entities get all of the benefit. And you guys got to do this too. You cut my sister off talking about 2 minutes. There's nobody here. So then we have to allow for that time, because you would have allowed it anyway. And then why are we having public comment after you guys have gone and voted and taken up? But ultimately, the issue is Detroiters are in the dark. They don't know. That's why these meetings are held like this. But you know what? The good news is that we're waking up, and we're going to have to get with our city council persons, because it's not that we're against it, but I'm against this if it doesn't really benefit the taxpayers and the shareholders. And this is not doing that. This is a sucker deal for real. So yeah, well, I'm done.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for giving me your input.
The next speaker is Joshua Elling, and they should be allowed to speak now.
Hello, welcome.
Good evening, Josh Elling, Executive Director of Jefferson East. I just wanted to thank the Commission for moving forward on the proposed WNBA facility. Also, Jefferson East is in strong support of this development, as well as the Youth Development Academy and the sports facility. Also wanted to compliment the development team for the extensive amount of civic engagement they've done with community groups, business owners, and we look forward to continuing discussions with the development team on treatments for Jefferson Avenue, how we can collaborate on safety, and the impact on the proposed Rivertown Business Improvement Zone. So again, thanks for moving it forward, and compliments to the development team for the great amount of outreach they've done to the surrounding neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, the last speaker is Tyson Gersh. The Galaxy A42 did put their hand down. But
Okay.
But Mr. Tyson Gersh should be allowed to speak now.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thanks. I guess a couple of things. I don't even know why I attended this hearing. I mean, the project sounds super cool. I had just something to put on in the background while I was doing work. I guess it had me thinking about a few things. One, I feel like we have the best zoning ordinance and charter in the state of Michigan. I do not understand the war on either of these documents. Um, they are so well written and so thoughtful, and I just don't get why everybody either ignores them or attacks them. Like there's so much language to reinforce good building practices, and good engagement practices and good protections for existing stakeholders. Like it's just a really remarkable document that like some really smart people clearly spent a lot of time developing. I don't get why we're trying to make it cool to abolish either of these things. Two, I get that the Open Meetings Act is designed to increase public participation, but we do have kind of this issue where a lot of these meetings get stacked with irrelevant voices. And when projects actually affect people that are in proximity to them, like their voice is just given the same weight as, I don't know, somebody in like Wyoming. Um, Maybe that's an opportunity to improve. There's got to be a way to filter and I guess prioritize people who would actually be impacted by things. I don't know if there's been any thought around this, but it's something that does feel is lacking in our current process.
All right. Thank you for sharing those comments, and we look forward to you attending one of our meetings here in the future. Thank you. Ms. Prowlis, do we have any more public commenters?
Mr. Chair, we do not.
Okay. If there is no more individuals willing to participate in public comment, we will go and close that portion of the agenda, and we will move forward to our unfinished business where we have one item. This is to the consideration of the request of T. Van Fox on behalf of MHT Housing and Tyler Hardy on behalf of the Detroit Housing Commission to modify the existing PD plan development zoning classification created by ordinance number 50-10 on the zoning district map number 40 at the former Herman Gardens public housing site, now known as Garden View Estates, to allow for the construction of a new multifamily housing complex, including 53 apartments and 120 townhomes. And Ms. DeBrewer, will you be helping us out this evening with this item?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I will.
All right, whenever you're ready.
May I have permission to share my screen?
Yes.
And while I'm doing so, may the petitioners introduce themselves?
Yes, welcome.
Thank you for having us. My name is Luke Willian, representing MHT Housing as one of our development team members.
Good evening, Arthur Jemison, Executive Director, Detroit Housing Commission. Good to see each of you.
And Mr. Chair, we do have a presentation both to remind you of what we're looking at, as this was 2 months ago, as well as to do a follow-up on comments and concerns that were brought to us at that time. So as you mentioned, this is looking at a PD modification or a plan development modification for the Garden View Estates. It is the request of Van T. Fox on behalf of MHT Housing and Tyler Hardy on behalf of the Detroit Housing Commission. And this would be a proposal to modify the existing plan development at the former Herman Gardens housing site, which is now commonly known as the Garden View Estates. And that ordinance was created by ordinance number 15-10 in 2010. The proposal would allow for the construction of new multifamily residential structures that would go over 2 blocks to include 72 townhomes and 57 apartments. Just a reminder of the location. This is in District 7. Again, on the former Herman Gardens site, just west of Southfield Freeway or east of Southfield Freeway and north of Warren Avenue. The subject area includes 2 vacant blocks within the Garden View Estates, and those are currently controlled by the Housing Commission. They were previously developed with the Herman Gardens housing, but demolished in the 1990s. And in just a brief background, in 2007, the eastern portion of the site was rezoned to planned development to construct 234 residential units, which were constructed. And in 2010, the remainder of the site was cleared, streets and lighting were installed, and the remaining 100 acres were rezoned to planned development to allow for an additional 231 acres. Since 2007, a variety of housing types have been built on the eastern portion of the site, and the mid and western portions of the site have remained vacant. There have been multiple plans or attempts to develop them for single-family housing, but those have not been seen through. And the blue box on this slide is the entirety of the planned development, the original planned development, and the former Herman Gardens site, with the red box being the proposed rezoning. Or proposed planned development modification. Looking at the surrounding zoning and land uses, to the north is planned development, to the east is planned development, to the north is undeveloped, to the east is both undeveloped and multifamily residential, to the south is R2, two-family residential, developed with residential and a church, and to the west is also planned development, which is undeveloped, and a little bit further west is the Southfield Freeway. We did receive a master plan interpretation from the Planning and Development Department, though when the report was submitted to the commission, that had not been received yet. The Planning and Development Department did find that this proposal for this plan development modification is consistent with the future land use designation of the proposed site. On September 4th, 2025, there was a public hearing held before this body, and I do have some answers to both questions and concerns that were raised by the commissioners at that time. The first was, and these questions all regard MHT housing specifically. The first question was, what percentage of construction contractors are going to be Detroit-based or are Detroit-based on MHT projects? And the answer to that is 75 to 85% on average for their sites or for their developments across the city, as well as 20% or more on average are minority and or female-owned businesses. The next question was, what is the current occupancy rate of the existing MHT housing developments? And the occupancy rate currently across their portfolio is 94.4%. And the existing MHT developments within the city, commissioners asked for a list of them, which you should have received as an attachment to this report. And just to sum it up here, there are 23 developments totaling 1,987 units, and with an additional 9 developments under construction or rehab with a total of 531 units. Further questions were regarding the design and materials. First, will the townhouse groupings have identical exterior design? The answer is that structurally, yes, but the exterior designs will not be identical. There was concern brought by this body that they would end up looking cookie cutter. In addition, the common and shared spaces, exterior and interior, will be designed with different artwork, paint colors, and things of that nature. And also, there were questions about the specific type and brand of metal panels to be used on the apartment building. MHE said that historically the siding has been sourced from Barrage Manufacturing, but that may change, whether that's in this development and or future developments, and that the building will be fully insulated, including those panels, ensuring that outside noises do not affect the residents. And finally, we had some questions regarding the existing Garden View estates, including what is the occupancy rate. The occupancy rate currently is 92.5%, as well as commissioners asked for some pictures of the existing Garden View estates, which you can see on this slide, and there are additional pictures included in the report that was submitted to you. At this point, I would like to let the petitioner speak to the different site plans and other renderings of the site.
Thank you for everybody's time today. If you want to continue to flip through them. The site plan you're seeing here today is no different than, the structure of the site plan is no different than the one from our previous meeting. Same amount of units, same types of units. In the renderings, and site plan, increased the amount of landscaping and uniqueness of landscaping throughout the site plan. Each townhome style will have different landscaping outside of each of it. Consistency will remain the same. But we took your comments very seriously about increasing landscaping, increasing the amount of trees, shade, outside activities for residents to congregate, the ability for residents to have a sense of uniqueness within their own community while amongst hundreds of other families and individuals. Another comment that was made last time was the safety of each individual townhome and apartment style structure. There will be fencing around the townhomes to keep residents safe and also signify the uniqueness of each building, ensuring that they don't look cookie cutter, that there is some type of organic separation building to building.
Mr. Chair, I will go through the approval criteria now that we use to do the staff analysis, and then we can go back and look at those images if the commission would like us to. So in the zoning code, there are 8 criteria used for approval of a map amendment. I have the applicable ones here and how it pertains to this proposal. Whether the proposed amendment corrects an error or meets the challenge of some changing condition, trend, or fact. The subject site was part of a larger plan development created by Ordinance 1510. The subject site was not developed per the ordinance in the plan development and has remained vacant since the demolition of the former Herman Gardens public housing complex. By modifying this plan development, it will allow for denser residential development to move forward. And whether the proposed rezoning will have significant adverse impacts on the natural environment, including air, water, soil, wildlife, and vegetation, with respect to anticipated changes in noise and regarding stormwater management, staff does not anticipate any significant adverse impacts on the natural environment as a result of the proposed development. Whether the proposed amendment will have significant adverse impacts on other property that is in the vicinity of the subject tract, staff does not anticipate any significant adverse impacts on other properties in the vicinity. The proposed amendment would actually allow for the development of parcels that have remained vacant since the demolition of the housing project that was there, which would reactivate the existing vacant land, having a positive impact is the anticipation. Whether the proposed rezoning will create an illegal spot zone, staff does not anticipate this creating an illegal spot zone. In addition to the map amendment criteria, there is also specific criteria for plan development approval that is in section 50-3-96. And again, I have the applicable ones here. Whether the subject site covers a minimum of 2 acres of contiguous land under the control of one owner or group of owners, except that upon determining that an adequate development can be accomplished on a parcel of lesser size. and if the subject site is capable of being planned and developed as an integral unit, and except in unusual circumstances. The subject site does cover a minimum of 2 acres. It is divided among 2 blocks, and the proposed development will consist of 1 housing complex, which will include 10 townhouse structures and 1 apartment building. That the development will result in a recognizable and substantial benefit to the ultimate users of the project and the city, where such benefits would otherwise be unfeasible or unlikely to be achieved. The benefits can be accomplished through a higher quality unified design that would be required by the typical regulations of this chapter. These benefits shall be demonstrated in terms of preservation of natural features, unique architecture, extensive landscaping, special sensitivity to land uses in the immediate vicinity, particularly well-designed access and circulation systems, and or integration of various site features into a unified development. Staff anticipates that the proposed development will result in recognizable and substantial benefits both to the future residents of the housing development as well as to those residents in the general vicinity and the city itself. The proposed development will provide low-income housing units needed in the city and create financially accessible housing options for a variety of households. Additionally, the proposed development includes community green spaces, ADA accessible units, and a first floor community space. During the public hearing, it was stated that MHT really strives to focus on those types of community spaces and encouraging that stronger community within their developments. And whether the location of the proposed planned development district is appropriate. Staff finds that the location of the proposed planned development district is appropriate, or planned development modification is appropriate. The subject site has historically been used for residential purposes and originally as multifamily. The existing planned development created by ordinance number 1510, which was never seen through, but was also for mixed income housing. So we do find that this is an appropriate use of that site. And finally, staff does recommend approval of the request to modify the existing plan development based on the criteria in sections 50-3-70 and 50-3-96, and to modify the plan development that was created by ordinance number 50-10 with the following conditions. First, that a separate landscape plan be submitted, subject to review and approval by CPC staff. Second, that the site plan be revised to designate within the 4-story building a multipurpose room as a community space, and that the use be limited to residentially scaled social gatherings. Third, that the exterior materials and color palette for all buildings be compatible with the existing development within Garden View Estates. And finally, that the final site plans, elevations, landscape, lighting, and signage plans be submitted for CPC staff approval prior to submitting applications for any applicable permits. And Mr. Chair, that is all that we have.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. And thank you for walking us and catching us up. I just have one question. Sorry. We have a couple alternatives in this packet of renderings. And I think this is in response to our ask for some alternative materials. Can you speak to which one what it was before? Because I kind of don't remember. That was 2 months ago. And then which one you're pushing forward? One kind of has, it looks like brick, and the other one is this metal panel.
So in the original previous meeting, we had provided alternatives just for review. We ended up, this site plan is consistent with the first plan that you've seen. So I would say in the packet that you're looking at, there's one smaller image on that first page that would look a little different than the rest. It's the apartment building. Instead of a red brick, there is a more neutral brick. That would be the only design alternative that we're showing now, we would our proposal, and this was originally consistent with the first meeting, is that darker brick. So a tried-colored tricolor apartment building between stone, brick, and concrete.
And will both be brick? It's not like the I'll say white. I don't think it's white, but that's not a panel. That's a brick too.
So it's the first floor you're looking at. It's tan stone.
This one, right?
Yep. So that big page. So if you look at that top image, that first floor is tan stone. The second and third stories would be red brick, and that top story would be metal siding.
Thank you, thank you. And is this the same design as when it came by the first time, or has that changed since?
That has not changed.
This okay. Okay. All right. So you're not going with the white brick. You're going with the brown brick.
Correct.
Okay. And then the panels you talked about that you typically source, that's the one going on the townhomes, right?
The metal siding would be on the apartment building, not on the townhomes. The townhomes would have traditional siding, vinyl siding.
Okay. So these vertical panels on the townhome is vinyl siding.
Correct.
Okay. So is the green and the gray.
Correct.
That's all vinyl.
Yep.
Okay. And then that first floor is brick.
Correct.
Not. Okay. I got you. Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you, commissioners. Commissioner Esparza.
Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate the enhanced landscaping on the townhomes. I'm wondering, would it be possible to maybe take the same approach with the apartment building and have much more landscaping?
It is something we can consider, and like I believe the fourth bullet point on the following conditions would help support that. If we were to have the ability, as we approach a final site plan and going through the process of building a construction schedule, if we have that ability to something we could consider and staff approve.
Absolutely.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Commissioner Esparza, we also, one of the conditions is that a separate landscaping plan be submitted and approved by CPC staff.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Esparza. Can I ask you a follow-up question? Me to ask you. If as they're going to come back with this final landscaping plan, is there anything specific to the apartment building you would like staff to be considerate of?
I think maybe there's an opportunity for more of a horizontal planting bed, landscaping treatment that would go beyond the trees that we see that are spaced very much at quite a distance from each other. So I know we see a lot of lawn area on the renderings here for these apartment buildings, but would appreciate if there's an opportunity to have more horizontal, low-lying landscaping. I take a look at these renderings for the townhomes, and those are some nice enhancements landscaping-wise at those units. So was hoping we could do the same for the buildings.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. And if I could also add, in I guess the northern part of the site plan and then east, that area has a lot of landscaping, you know, in that green area. But then the one just on the south, there's only 2 trees there. And then when we go down to in between the townhomes, and this is on the parcel that has the townhomes and the apartment building on it. Okay, thank you. Between the townhomes, you know, there's like 2 trees on each one. You know, I think you could probably fit more landscaping there. And then in the spaces between the townhomes and the apartment building, the Commissioner Russell rotated my map, so that'd be the true west, north of the apartment. I'm sorry. Yep, north of the apartment building on the west side of the site. True north, true west. There's a landscaping with 2 trees there.
in between the apartment building and townhomes.
Yes. Yeah.
So in that space, I don't know if it's hard to, apologize if it's hard to read, there's a playground playscape in that area. So where those two trees sit,
Got you. Okay.
there would be playground. So that's why it doesn't, if you can see on the, I'll just make this easier. On the right side of that strip, there's more trees outlined. You see at least 6 or 7 on that right side.
Yep.
That space on the left would be a playground there.
Okay. So in the space with the 2 trees, you're going to put a playground.
Correct.
Okay.
It's written. Sorry, it's small writing.
I'm gonna just take your word for it.
Okay.
That was my question, and then no, I think I'm good. Okay, Commissioner Russell, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So I would first like to say I think you all coming here to change what was from the original plan to that makes a lot of sense, and that it creates a lot more density, and I like the response that you came back from the last meeting. And I got a couple of questions. You all are on a strict timeline?
So the goal, yes, as of right now, the goal being to start construction in October of next year with a completion date of April of 2028.
And I'd like I agree with my fellow commissioners in their comments, and I like these. I like the front of these townhomes, and you guys, even though you're on a strict timeline, you're amenable to maybe some changes, and this is just a personal thing. A lot of these complexes in the city, outside of the city. Well, let me ask this first. On Claiborne and Rutland, is parking allowed on the street?
On that side, no, there's not parking. In street parking, it would not be allowed. We would have, for resident parking would be that interior, those parking spaces designated for residents.
Right, but is there on-street parking on those streets?
I do not have an answer to that question for residents. I don't know that answer.
Right, and what I'm saying is a lot of times you come to those complexes, especially the ones that are drive, and everyone, either goes through the garage or they go through the back door because there's no, is the front door really going to be the front door? And that's why I ask about the parking. When guests come, the residents park in the back and go in their back door, but will the front be used if there's parking that there are guests coming in? And I think in the northeast corner of the section there is parking on the streets, because I appreciate you all try to keep with the city grid, but I believe you all allow parking on the street and the residents park in the back, which I think is a good thing.
Through the chair to Commissioner Russell, as of right now, there are no signs preventing or prohibiting parking on the street on Claiborne. I'm not 100% sure about Rutland, as you can't really get over there to drive.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not to say that with the development that would stay the same.
And the widths of both Claiborne and Rutland is the same as the city blocks that are to the south, correct? And in those blocks, there's parking on both sides of the street, plus two-way for the cars to pass, correct?
Yep.
And so I appreciate what you did with the front porches so that people can sit out and greet their neighbors. But when I look at the rear of the facade, it looks a little difficult for someone coming in with groceries. You're standing on the stairs there, and you know, and what I'm saying is, you know, that when you go up a set of stairs, I want to use the right term, the landing at those porches should be a little more generous, where you could step up and you're at the level of the door and then can go in and not just have the steps there. There needs to, well, I would like it to be, you know, maybe at least 5 feet deep, you know, and get some space. And, you know, I don't know how far along you guys are in the process, but that would be one change I would like to see. And even the overhang that's over the door, if it could, over the two doors, if it could be a little larger.
Thank you for those comments. And as for the height restrictions and levels on stairs, all of the townhome unit buildings will have to be ADA compliant. So there will at least be 2 ramps on either end of the building for accessibility, regardless of the height of stairs. So something that we will absolutely take into consideration and make sure we know.
And these comments, I think that you all's presentation and plans are fine. And these things are my own, you know, if a place has a lot of amenities, it attracts people and it attracts, and it makes people comfortable, and it makes it a place people want to be, you know. And one other thing, that in the back, you know, you think about, you know, I go in my backyard and I barbecue and we sit there. I can't barbecue, just grill, right? But you know, we sit out there. If there was patio space, you know, it doesn't have to be elevated, but somewhere that you could set some furniture out and you know, and have a proper place to put your grill. And I know, I think in one of the renderings it's there.
There's outdoor community
Yeah.
spaces, picnic gardens.
Yeah, but you know, so people could, you know, when the weather permitting, feel comfortable sitting out in their rear yard. Thank you. That was my last comment. Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. And I do want to ask a follow-up question. Are these, the ramps on the end, do they just service the units on the end? Or is there like an internal hallway that connects these in?
They would service the units on the end.
Okay, so only the end units will be
It would be
accessible?
the ADA compliant units, correct.
Okay, so as Commissioner Russell alluded to, the stairs, that's not a part of your, the entry on those stairs for those non-end units, that's not a part of your ADA purview, or is that ADA compliant?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Commissioner Russell asked about those stairs, and then you said the sites are going to be ADA compliant.
Correct.
Referring to the ramps on the end. So only those end units cater to ADA.
Correct.
So is there an opportunity to do the landings as Commissioner Russell referred to? You know, is that something you're able to consider?
Yes.
For those units?
Leaving the street parking in level with the doors, or minimize the amount of
or vice versa.
Steps. Correct. Yes, that is something we can consider.
Okay, thank you. Any other commissioners have comments? Vice Chair?
Thank you for the presentation and all of the renderings. I think it's really helpful to understand what this development will look like. I just want to reiterate Commissioner Russell's point. Looking at those back stairs, they do look quite small. And to his point, thinking about people using them in and out and having stuff, having those to be a little wider, deeper, would be, I presume, very helpful. Something else I noticed from the renderings, like of the townhomes, I see a fence in between the townhomes. Is this a fully gated community from the outside and the only entrance is where the cars come in? if this helps, like this fence. Yes, the fence on the left side of this.
It's not, it would not, the fence would not be all the way around the property. No, there would be walkways between fencing.
Okay, so people who are on the outside street could get inside to their car or something without having to go like all the way around. Okay, that's super helpful. And then my final comment, I know you were talking about some of the green spaces between the townhomes. One has a play area, you said. My thought or suggestion is throwing in some picnic tables that people can use in between the townhome buildings or wherever you have a little bit of a patch of grass. I think that could be a really cool community hub for people to use. But that's all the comments I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You have any other commissioner comments? I see none. Ms. DeBrew, can you give us your staff recommendation for this item?
Yes, Mr. Chair, staff does recommend approval of the plan development modification that is being proposed.
Okay. Commissioners, do we have any?
Oh, with the conditions listed in the report.
With the conditions, thank you. Commissioners, do we have a motion to accept staff's recommendation with conditions? Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Do we have a second?
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. All in supporting the motion to accept staff's recommendation with amendments, indicate your support with a sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all in opposition indicate with a sign of nay. There are no nays. That motion passes. Congratulations. Can you give us, Mr. Brewer, some closing next steps, what we can expect for this item?
Mr. Chair, we will receive, in the future, they'll be presenting us with site plans and documents that staff will be able to approve per the, from the commission to make sure those conditions are met prior to them going for permits with the Building Safety Department.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and prior to it going to City Council.
The site plan component has to go to City Council?
Yeah, so the next step, I apologize, the next step would be to go to City Council to get approval of the modification.
Got you. Thank you. All right, congratulations. Thanks for bringing this. And we always say, let us know when you open. And we're still holding somebody to come back and let us know. So we got you, Arthur. So maybe I hold you to it.
Happy to do that.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. That does appear to be our last unfinished business item. And we do have one new business item. It's November already. So we're looking at our 2026 Planning Commission meeting schedule. Director Todd, you want to walk us through this one?
All right. Sorry about that, Commissioners. We are providing you with a copy of the proposed schedule for next year. We're not looking necessarily for your action tonight, but at least some general concurrence, and then we will look to try to secure these dates with council administration for reserving this space. And as long as that goes through, then we would bring this back for your formal action at your December 3rd meeting, your last meeting of the year. I want to give credit to Ms. Green for walking through the process and developing the original draft of the schedule, and I tried to follow what you've been doing in typical years. The beginning of the year, of course, we're always looking to accommodate the community development block grant schedule. And as you know, year to year, we're always waiting to see what happens with the administration. It used to be that we looked to try to have 3 meetings in the month of January. The last couple of years, we've had to unfortunately try to squeeze 3 meetings into the shortest month of the year, February. So Ms. Green followed that practice for the last 2 years. We will see, particularly again with a change of administration, exactly what we're looking at in terms of that community development block grant schedule. But thus, the way in which but that is the reason why we have the schedule as presented for those first 2 months, again, with the 3 meetings occurring in February. The remainder of the schedule tries to adhere to the first and third Thursdays of each month, with, again, exceptions where holidays may dictate. We did, for your consideration, still include an August meeting. But again, it is noted as tentative, and certainly that can be removed. But one of the reasons why we did that was going back to the month of July. With the falling of the 4th of July, we gave you the option of sticking with that first Thursday of the month, or alternatively waiting until your third Thursday of the month, the 16th. Let me back up. Your pairings would either be the first and third Thursdays following July 2nd or July 16th, or starting the month with the 16th, the third Thursday, and then ending with the 5th Thursday of the month on the 30th. The only issue with this, and this is why I said it might relate to the meeting of the 6th, is as we come to that point in time of the year, not knowing what the city council may need of the commission, and whether or not there'd be any advantage, which there could be, to having a meeting on the 2nd. In case there are any items that need to come out of the commission, there would then be time to get those to city council before they go on recess. And again, the same in play for August 6th, in case there's something that needs to be handled at the very end of the year, that then the balance of that month that you're typically on recess could be used to work through an ordinance with city engineering getting the legal description approved and then getting the ordinance approved as to form, so something might be ready to go to city council. But knowing the pleasure of this honorable body, again, we just wanted to put it in there so that you would be aware, and certainly if you'd like to consider those dates, you can, but that would be the rationale behind them. Otherwise, I think as Ms. Green put forward, the 16th and the 30th of July could certainly work, and if you would like to eliminate even the tentative consideration of August 6th and only deal with it if in fact the need arises, staff would certainly be understanding. The remainder of the year follows pretty, strictly with the first and third Thursday of each month. And again, at this point in time, we are unaware of any potential conflicts with any other special events or holidays that may arise, and the commission can make adjustments accordingly. This schedule, as the preamble indicates, is still open to your consideration of at least one, if not 2 communities, meetings out in the community, and we can determine those per the items that do come before you over the course of next year.
Okay. Thank you, Director Todd. And it sounds like you're not looking for us to have any definitive answers this meeting, so it'll come back at a following meeting, next meeting.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, yes, we'd be looking to bring this back for your action at your meeting on December the 4th. But certainly, if there are any particular concerns or any particular direction you'd like to express this evening, this will allow us to look to pre-secure these dates and ensure that they are available next year before you take action on the 4th.
Thank you. And to move this forward for these July dates, do you need us to definitively tell you one or the other. We can't leave it open and figure it out as we get closer to.
That is correct. We would need the commission to choose, and also again choose the fate of August 6th as well.
Okay. And worst case scenario, if we do choose the 16th and the 30th, it's possible we could have a back-to-back meeting if we have to have the meeting on the 6th.
Yes.
Or is there another week in there I'm not catching?
You're right. That would be the case. That would be a back-to-back meeting. Yes.
Okay. Commissioners, do we have any comments about, maintaining our standard first and third Thursday meeting schedule for July, or is there an idea to push it back? Okay. Okay, I got it too. I'm flexible, so if people want to move it, I'm okay with moving it. Does anybody protest? Do you protest? No. Commissioner Esparza, do you protest having our July meetings on the 16th and the 30th instead of our standard first and third for July? I do not. Okay. Commissioner Lewis, do you protest? Okay. So I do not hear a protest. So I think we're going to direct staff to schedule our July meetings for the 16th of July and the 30th of July.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments related to the 2026 meeting schedule? I see none. You're good. And I know this says draft, but it says 2025 in that last row, but
Yes.
I know you got it.
Miss Green caught that. That was my error.
Okay. All right. So we'll direct staff to adjust the schedule as such.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and we will bring this back at your next meeting. And hopefully, again, there'll be no problem securing these dates. Typically, commission does have first preference on the committee of the whole room. So.
Okay. And at what time do we make a determination on which dates we have the community meetings, the meetings in the community?
So in the past, it used to be, trying to have one equitably spaced, so one in the first half of the year, one in the second half of the year. And again, having gone to, with expenses, et cetera, looking to hold at least one, we've basically just done it in response to the items that are before you. So if there's something that is more conducive to meeting out in the community, then as those issues come up, we schedule it. So as we're able to get a better handle on the things that will be coming before you next year, we may find it advantageous to do so, weather permitting. We do see a couple of potential projects. They are small in scale, but we do see the potential in a couple of things that will likely come before you in the first quarter of the new year. But again, they're small in scale. I wouldn't see them necessarily fitting the bill. But again, there may be other projects that are larger in scale, more impactful, could be something housing related that may warrant your setting a meeting out in the community. We'll try to accommodate, look for available spaces based upon your interest and the, again, nature of the particular item that's before you.
Okay, thank you. And I believe we did do one in the community this year. We were at Northwest Activity Center.
We did indeed. That was, again, presented itself as a result of the ongoing PD project. And we had so many different sites within D1 under zoning map 71 that it presented a perfect opportunity to go out in the community. May not have been the most sensational of projects, if you will, but certainly it was one that was far-reaching in terms of the disparate locations of the PDs across D1.
Was that the solar PD?
No. This was various PD projects. Again, that PDs where they'd either expired, etc.
Dr. Bulger's PDs.
Yes.
I got you.
Exactly.
I got you. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
The one at WC 3D Northwest.
Yes, I'm following. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Russell.
I just wanted to add to this schedule the holiday party, right? Are we doing one this year? We doing one in the beginning of the year? If we doing it in the beginning of the year, we need to add it to the schedule.
It's November 6th.
Party now? Is this the party?
This is the party.
Mr. Chair, if I may, through you to Member Russell, while of course that is never an official part of your schedule, we hear you loud and clear, and we will look to maybe take advantage of that in the month of January, given that we would not have to do the back-to-back meetings, 3 meetings then, and maybe we can go ahead and secure a location to your liking well in advance.
Excellent, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Russell. So we will move on past the new business and the CPC meeting schedule. Director Todd, do we have any staff reports?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, the primary thing that I want to indicate consistent with your schedule and the odd way in which the year seems to be ending, we have so many things going on that are really serving to bind up the City Council as this year ends, as this term of City Council ends. And this also appears to be having some effect on items that may have otherwise been coming before you by way of updates or some other projects, some other things that would have fed into next year. Given that there is no longer the opportunity, but for what was before you today, to really get anything before City Council for approval before the end of the year. So with that said, your next scheduled meeting of the 20th, we don't really have anything. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon your perspective, we would like to recommend your cancellation of the meeting of the 20th, in that we, at present, we thought we were going to have 2 items, maybe 3, but now we have nothing. And therefore, your next meeting on the 4th would be an opportunity not only to address your agenda, but a few other items, some year-end activities, and maybe some projections for the new year. We do note that I believe 3 of you will be addressing your end of term and renewal, or in the case of Commissioner Lewis, who will have to leave us by virtue of the changing of the districts. She no longer, once the new districts take effect in January, she will no longer live in the district that she currently represents. So unless something else changes, which it could, and I guess we have to have that conversation with Member Lewis, but we know that there will also be some further changing of the guard. We're still looking to have the District 5 seat filled, and we do recognize that with new council members coming in and a new council forming, there may be other changes. So we'll look to sort of address those and prepare for those. There will be a City Council so let me, yeah, thank you. Let me stop. I'm skipping ahead. But with respect to the 20th, again, we are recommending that you cancel that meeting. And again, we will look to have enough items worth your presence on December 4th. And then I want to back up to another item after you address this issue.
Okay. I'm sorry. Was it a question? I might have missed it.
The cancellation of the meeting of the 20th.
I motion we cancel
Thank you. All in support of canceling our second November meeting indicate your support with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposition? No opposition. The motion passes. We have canceled that meeting.
Let's see.
I was going to say I couldn't make it, so this is convenient.
All right. It works out. Okay. I think everybody's in good favor. So, all right. Thank you.
Okay, and then, Commissioners, having addressed your schedule and upcoming meetings, the only other thing wanted to make you aware of tonight is we are putting together an orientation for the incoming City Council, now that the election is behind us, and we look to hold that on December 8th and 9th. It would be an opportunity for a representative of the commission to attend. So if the commission would like to so designate, or assuming Mr. Chair or Mr. Vice Chair that neither of you would be available and you want to designate, there's someone who's interested. Again, as with the city council retreats that have happened in the past, it is an opportunity for the commission to become acquainted with, and otherwise, certainly in this case, particularly the newer council members, to become familiar with the commission, its membership, and do so in a setting wherein you do have some opportunity for some one-on-one. The orientation's a little bit more rigid than are the retreats, and the orientation would be here. No overnight. We're looking for a venue here near to downtown, and the details will probably be finalized in the next, probably by tomorrow or Monday, and we'll be getting information out. But again, invitation is extended to a representative of the commission to attend.
Thank you, Director Todd. Because it's local, is it only extended to one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We are still limited in terms of some of the other logistical items, the space itself, food, etc.
Got you. Okay. Commissioners, is there anyone that is actively interested in attending that? You don't have to jump. I'm just asking. Usually I go. You want to go?
You want to go?
If you don't want to, if you want to go, you can go.
Okay, I'll go.
We'll send vice chair. I've been to a bunch of them. So.
And staff will so note.
We'll send you
Off the
to
record, redacted.
send you to the retreat.
I'll pack a sandwich thing.
All right. Is there anything else, Director Todd?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, that is it. Thank you for your patience.
All right. Thank you. Next, we have member reports. Do we have any member reports? I see none. I'll just do a brief one. The Michigan Planning Conference was last week, and that was a very good conference, hence my absence. Thank you, Vice Chair. Upcoming in the first quarter, actually it's beginning of the second quarter, is the APA the National Conference, the NPC. That will be in Detroit next year. It's the first time it's been in Detroit, I think, since like the mid-90s. It's been a really, really long time. So we beat Florida for this spot, and the second one, we beat a few other cities out to have it here in Detroit in 2026. So if you're available to attend, I think that'd be awesome. Otherwise, it'll be a really good time. A lot of people are looking forward to that conference. Planners in Michigan and outside of Michigan. I think it will be the best NPC probably since it was here last. So just wanted to share that with everybody. Some really good news. It seems like Detroit is becoming the center place for a lot of really big things, which is always good. So that's my only member report. If there are no others, Director Todd, do we have any communications?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, there are none.
Okay. If there are none, it is 7:58. We'll call this meeting in order. Adjournment. I've been gone for a little while. Give me a second.